Very good afternoon, everyone. Very warm welcome to our esteemed panelists, principals, faculty, students, and all the participants for today's webinar. My name is Sheba, and I'm from Task. Before we proceed further, I'd like to give a small introduction about who we are, what we do as Task. Well, Task is basically a non-profit organization created by the government of Telangana to provide quality services to the industry and bridge the gap between the industry and the academia. Do it by partnering with various technology and skill partners who offer industry-specific learning modules at a subsidized cost and sometimes at no cost. These modules are in turn given to as service offerings to the task registered students from task registered colleges throughout the state of Telangana. Students are skilled and certified in most of the cases, and we have a placement team who's sitting in our office who's constantly in touch with the corporates and their requirements. So these pool of students who are trained and certified are directed to these placement organizations, to these corporate organizations, wherein they get access to this pool of students and they are placed. So much so that these students are skilled and certified much before they are out of their college, out of their academic college career. So what will happen is there are many other such things that we take care of. That is the programs such as finishing schools and entrepreneurship programs. Finishing school is something that is offered to the students who are out of the college. I mean, they are passed out and they are jobless. And entrepreneurship programs are given to students from the college level itself, as well as we have programs such as life skills, communication skills, and so on and so forth. During this pandemic, we've been conducting a series of webinars to the students and colleges so that they can clear their misconceptions hearing from the experts themselves. And today's webinar, Expectations of Agriculture and Food Processing Industry Post COVID-19, is the 14th one in its row. And this is in association and supported by FICCI, Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry. Today we have a keynote address by Dr. B. Janardhan Reddy, IAS, Secretary, Agriculture and Cooperation Department, Government of Telangana, towards the end of the session. I request all the students and participants to post your questions on the chat that you have, that you can see on your window. So at the end of the session, there's a Q&A where all your questions will be answered. On that note, may I now welcome Sri Srikant Sinha, CEO Task, and request him to take over the session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Shiba. A very good afternoon and a very warm welcome to the esteemed panelists, all the principals, faculty members, TPOs, and students. And the administrator will keep us updated as to how many students are already there on this panel. And thank you very much, panelists, for taking out time and being with us today as we talk about this very important topic. In 2019, dear students, Government of Telangana had started looking at food production in a big way, agriculture and food production in a big way, especially with the success of the Kaleshwaram project and others in the state. And if we look at the news that came yesterday itself, the kharif cultivation that has happened over here is 36.6% higher than compared to last year. Plus, the government has divided the state into various zones, looking at major crop, minor crops, looking at about 20% of the crops under transplantation, transmutation, also transplantation and transmutation, looking at alternate crops and a lot of other things. And the fact remains that 90%, I was thinking it is 85, but I was corrected by Bhaskar Reddy Garu today morning saying that it's 90% of it is unprocessed, which means whatever is produced in India, 90% of it is not getting processed. In the state also similar kind of a thing, which gives rise to a huge requirement of food processing industries to be set up. while we are coming up in agriculture in a big way, um, uh, we also need, as we are discussing offline, more food processing industries to come up. And processing industries to be successful, they would require good quality manpower. And that's where we decided to bring this session today, because most of the students look at IT and other companies first as their career of choice. And we would like them to also understand what are the various job opportunities available in the food processing and agricultural industry, and how they could benefit from it. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce the panel, the esteemed panel that we have here today. Um, and I will start with the only lady on the panel, Sarita Reddy Garu. Welcome, ma'am. She's the Executive Director of Food Technologies and Managing Director of Gayatri Sugar Limited. She also runs the Park Hyatt Hotel over here in Hyderabad. She has served as the president of Telangana Sugar Mills Association, TESMA, for over 10 years, as well as she has been the president of the Sugar Indian Mills Association, ISMA. She has been the recipient of the Industry Excellent Award by Sugar Technology Association of India, STAI, um, as well as she has been an active member of a global professional organization called YPO or WPO, and is a managing trustee of an NGO called HELP. And she's been elected as a chairperson for FICCI Ladies Organization for the year 2014 and 15. She holds an MBA from Osmania University and attended executive education for the last 3 years at Harvard Business School. One more little fact that is not known by many people is she's also the author or co-author of the book on Tirupati, Tirumala, which is one of the well-known books and probably the only leading book on this subject also. So welcome Sarita Reddy Garu for this. She is here for the second time. Earlier we had got her also for the hospitality industry one. Thank you for joining us again today. Next, I'm introducing Mr. Rajshekhar Reddy Silam, founder of 24 Mantra Organization. He is the founder and managing director of Sreshta Natural Bioproducts Private Limited. Bioproducts Limited, which with the products of 24 Mantra are products and are sold. That's the brand name. Sreshta, he's a pioneer in and a leader in organic foods in India, working with 45,000 farmers on 250,000 acres across 15 states in India. Previously, he served the Murgappa Group Company as the National Sales and Marketing Manager, working closely with farmers selling pesticides and fertilizers. Mr. Raj Silam came up with the business idea of starting an organic food business in Hyderabad, and he's an alumni of IIM Ahmedabad. Welcome, Rajshekhar Garu. Next, pleased to introduce you to Mr. GVRK Raju, Vice President, HR and Talent, Hindustan Coca-Cola. I'm not able to change the slides. Can you change the slides, Administrator? Previously, he worked with the Agri Business ITC as a factory HR manager, Indian Cements Limited as HR head, Bellary Steels and Alloys as manager HR and admin, and Ferroy Alloys Corporation as assistant manager personnel. He has gained extensive exposure in HR strategic initiative, leader development, employee relations, talent acquisition, managing while maintaining statutory and legal compliances. He holds a PG diploma in personal management from NIPM and a post-graduation in commerce and bachelor's degree in law from Andhra University. So welcome, Raju Garu. Next, I move to Bhaskar Reddy Garu, Managing Director, Creamline Dairy Products Limited, co-founder and Managing Director of Creamline Dairy Products, Hyderabad. He has successfully led the company in establishing milk chilling centers and processing centers across southern India, round-the-clock milk parlors and mobile milk testing centers in the Indian dairy industry are his brainchild. Active member of the Indian Dairy Association, he has worked in various trade bodies and chambers of commerce in different capacities, and I am told he's also the senior vice president of FAPCHI, uh, presently awarded the Entrepreneur of the Year 2001 from Hyderabad Management Association. He holds an executive MBA from Indian Business School, and he has graduated in dairy technology from Osmania University. Welcome, Bhaskar Reddy Garu. Um, Now moving to Ravish. So Ravish is currently the CFO for Sri Ganjam Industries. Before that, he was head finance and compliance for Sri Ganjam Industries, as well as director finance for Sri Ganjam Agro Mills Private Limited. He holds an MBA from SPJ in Dubai in cost and finance. While pursuing his MBA, he worked with Jabel Ali-based company with job profile of analyst, which covered cost, system production, administrative, and marketing analysis. Uh, Welcome, Ravish, and probably as the other speakers joins in, we are missing as of now Mr. Akhil Gawar, Director Food Processing Department of Industries and Commerce, Government of Telangana, who would join in, and I'm as of now, we have over 300 plus students who have already joined the webinar. So I think we'll have some interesting discussions today. So let me start with Sarita Garu itself with the first question, which is, ma'am, if you could help us understand, Sarita Garu, what is the impact of COVID been on the sugar industry itself, and what do you feel is the future trends for this? Over to you. Sarita Garu, you need to unmute yourself. Not able to hear you. No. Probably you'll have to press the leave audio button, which is there in the center of the screen, and join back again. Malika, can you help Sarita Garu? In the meantime, I will move to Rajshekhar Garu.
Sure, sir.
Yeah. So Rajshekhar Garu, if you could help me understand, the impact of COVID that has happened on the agri and food processing industry, especially for organic, and what do you think is the future for your particular stream?
I think one, COVID generally had a very positive impact on food and agri, particularly which are like day-to-day basic products, whether it is processed or straight kind of grains or other things. So it's had a very positive influence. What we have also seen is people have been trading up to consume better quality products. So they're paying, they don't mind paying little more as long as they know that it is nutritionally better or health-wise better. So that's a trend which we have seen. Then uh, and then, of course, luckily, I think during the lockdown, most of the food and agri sector has been exempt from the lockdown. So they were initially teething troubles, 1 2 months. I think companies did suffer, but later on, I think the overall trend has been positive. And this year, given the good last year, the monsoons were good, the Rabi water position was good, crops were good. This year, the Kharif rainfall has also been good. So, given this, I think this is one sector which is not likely to be affected much. Perhaps I think there's a good possibility that there might be some decent growth as far as this sector is concerned. But what has got affected is consumer discretionary products, which are highly processed, or where the more bordering on the luxurious kind of thing. Otherwise, the staple products, whether it's processed or unprocessed, have had good demand. And what we have also seen is we have benefited definitely from the trend of people trying to eat healthy products. And what has also happened is in-home consumption has gone up. So, in fact, what we have found is a lot of people who didn't know one dal from another dal have discovered the joy of ingredients, joy of cooking. And then what we have also seen across is a lot of informal groups for to share recipes has happened. So I guess this COVID has helped actually educate a lot of young and not so young people who are not used to cooking. So that's a good trend from a long-term perspective, and I'm sure a lot of those habits will stay on. So that way, it's been positive generally for the food and agri industry and for organic in particular. Uh, and I guess this trend will continue, uh, and that's a very positive thing.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. I fall in the category of not so young, and I've just added, cooking to my profile on my biodata also during COVID. So definitely, a lot of people are getting interested in these things, and I think the more they become aware, the more this industry would grow because people would look at it. Sarita Garu, welcome back. If
Yeah,
you could,
sorry. Are you able to
perfect.
hear me now?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay.
So over to you about sugar industry impact and future trends.
Yeah, I think Mr. Rajshekhar Reddy had clearly had mentioned that this pandemic had not really affected our industry as such, because I think agriculture is mostly based on hard work in the soil and rain from the sky. I mean, from the obviously it's all weather patterns. And if the weather is not good with irrigation, so we can get a good yield. So I think even seeing all the number of irrigation projects which have come out in the state, and the linking of the rivers, and all these other different things which have been taking part as state government and central government projects, I think they have done good to encourage farmers also. And in our specific industry, we deal with close to more 30,000, 40,000 farmers as well. They have small land holdings, and they depend a lot upon the factory itself or the sugar mill or the industry itself for the this thing of pesticide, fertilizer, for drip irrigation, for organizing the harvesting gangs. So I think as an industry, we kind of really adopt all these villages around our factories, and in a way of consumption, I think the consumption has been just as much. The production of sugar has actually been quite high. It's been the highest in the whole world, and I think consumption wise, we are second largest consumers of sugar. So in that sense, I think sugar as an industry has not faced much problem. And added to that, actually, what is done better now is conversion of the molasses into ethanol. So the byproduct, and where you are making more ethanol. And the government is also encouraging to make more ethanol because it will be good for blending with petrol, and it will bring down even our import bills and all of that. So I think in that way, and then even another byproduct of the sugar industry is cogeneration, where we make power. So the power which is like a green fuel. So in all, it's all good aspects of the sugar industry, and there's been good rains, there's been good water. The sentiment of the farmers is good, and like it's already been mentioned, all of us are cooking more at home. Everybody's been buying, so everything has been concentrating, especially in this COVID times, around meals. But of course, there is a trend also where people are going into fast food, eating these prepared meals and things like that. But as such, as a sugar as an industry, it's not been affected much at all by this COVID situation. And in fact, we sell our sugar even to civil supplies of the government of Telangana and Andhra. And those also have been lifted absolutely on time. And the power which we generate is being supplied to the grid, and the TS Transco, and those are the government bodies we deal with. So I think, yeah, there is. It's been everything has been handled quite well, and I think the pandemic actually has been handled fantastically well. Even I think both by center and by the state.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I belong to a state where, unless and until your spoon is standing in the tea, which means that much of sugar is there in it, it is not considered as a good tea. And I was involved with Triveni Sugar Mills early in my career in 87, 88, where we created a computer program for finding out the laden weight of the trolleys that used to come. So, what's the empty weight and what is the filled weight. So interesting to see how the sugar industry has grown. Thank you. Moving on to you, Bhaskar Reddy Garu, in case you can help us understand from the dairy side of it, how COVID has impacted and the future.
Uh, COVID, like initially it was kind of a shocker, unlike other industries, Raj and Mrs. Sarita Reddy told about their industries. But milk, first 3 days of lockdown was a nightmare for all of our teams across factories, across plants, because this has come as a jolt without any warning. On 22nd March, they have just put a complete ban on movement. And the first 3 4 days, we used to literally, our teams used to fight with police at everywhere, because our industry needs 24/7 every morning. So milk can't stay on animal, so it has to they have to milk it every day and supply to consumer every day. So then quickly we got in with association, dairy association, and governments, all governments of Telangana, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu. So all the governments come forward, and we have kept a cell in police commissionerate office in each state. And our people were there 24/7. Three shifts, 3 people were posted. Because in each state, almost close to 2,000 to 2,500 vehicles will be moving for milk supplies, both the primary, tertiary, and secondary. So that was the initial nightmare, but immediately we rectified it, and then there was no issue in supplies after that, both procurement and supplies. Consumption-wise, yes, unlike other industries, there is an impact. Home consumption has improved by 5% or so, but lot of on-the-go projects. So out of milk consumption, 30% are value-added products. Some of them, like even the tea, coffee bunks across the street were also closed. Hotels, restaurants, Horeca, IT industries, all these people have moved back to homes. So the slight home consumption has gone up, but almost as high as 25% consumption has gone down for on-the-go products like flavored milks, curds, which are sold across the retail, and so that was the impact. But now I think slightly recovered, and we are coming back. Still 10% down is there in terms of value-added products. But yeah, we are getting back into the groove.
Right. Thanks for that. And yes, of course, milk is something that you can't. I wish there was a way that you could, keep this milk, because you will require the milk for the festivals that are coming up, the Shara, Diwali, and all. And at that time, a lot of.
Srikanth, we do drying. Milk drying will be there, but it is normally during flush season. The milk powders will be produced. So these things will be stored for future consumption during lean seasons.
Fantastic. Excellent. 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 So let me now move on to the beverage industry, and Raju Garu, in case you can help us understand, with the liquor consumption probably going down, Coke would have also gone down, but just a joke. Just want to understand how it was for you.
Yeah, Srikanth. I think, I heard from few of the panelists, as an industry, we were the worst hit industry. Typically, most of you know, in a year, the beverage business happens mostly during the season period. When we say season, for us, the season starts from March and ends in June. So during this 4 months period, what we do is we almost sell about 55% of our business plan for the year. Then you can imagine the kind of impact this pandemic hit us. So it has come right in the beginning of the season, and it is continuing, right? So, Bhaskar Reddy Garu mentioned, for us it was really, really a jolt, and we were absolutely uncertain about what we should be doing it. At least in his case, the milk is still an essential product, but for us, it's a refreshing product. It's not an essential product. So technically, the governments have not given permission through the lockdown period with so much of convincing and representation, saying that at least juice and water is definitely an essential product, so included. So this permission we have got sometime in May. Uh, May. From there onwards, we could start selling. And the good part, which is really promising, is as the government started unlocking, the demand has started coming back. Right? That's the confidence. If you ask me, I mean, the way we are looking at, although we have been badly hit, which even the recovery is not possible for us. The year is gone, and we need to look forward to 2021. So what we are, at the point in thinking is we are very, very optimistic, very, very positive that things will be back on track. As we speak, as I mentioned, the recovery just started. At this point in time, all the E&D channels, eating and dining, similarly hotel industry, travel industry, all these are still not open. Some permissions have not been there, and for some, they have not even fully operational. Right, in malls and theaters, nothing is there. In spite of all this, the good thing is we have come almost close to our base number in August. We are only hoping once the unlock started, improving and these channels start opening, I think it's just a matter of time. Things will come back. So this is where we see the power of brand and the love for our brands. And as a company, like I said, why we are so optimistic is we are a company of 135 years old, and its brand is so powerful, and people love this brand. That's how our experience. So I know we have taken a pause in terms of certain decisions with respect to uh, adding people, but all the promises and commitments that we have made for all the business schools, management trainees, leadership trainees, executive trainees, who were supposed to join in the month of June, July, they all joined. So the reason is we are very, very optimistic. It is just things have to improve, and we will just come back.
Sure, thanks. But didn't you think that it was worthwhile to, since you had the plant already there, you could have started production of something which could have been beneficial for that particular period? I don't know what it could have been. Could be, for example, some of the automobile companies. When we did a webinar on manufacturing and automobile was represented, they said that they had shifted their entire assembly line to create things for the pandemic itself.
Yeah. In our operations, because it's a huge, change management and transformation, it's not that easy. So we were only hoping things are going to improve at this point in time. Although we lost a little bit of opportunity, but I think we are coming back. So it is worth waiting. Then, as a company, we have so many protocols. Being a global company, it's not easy to even move an inch from one place to another, or move a process from one process to
Right.
another process. We are very, very conservative in that manner.
I understand. I understand. So let me move on to you, Gavish, now, and if you could tell us about impact of COVID on rice mills and other industries that are under Sri Ganjam, and generally about the industry itself.
Yeah, so I couldn't agree more on what Rajshekhar and the other panelists said on, like, this is the least affected sector because of COVID. And again, yes, initially, like, the few days and few weeks were very challenging. And like, then the moment, like, we thought the things were settling down, the migrant workers issue came up. Like, people started leaving back to their hometown, and Rabi season was on top of, like, at its peak, and we had to stop most of our operations for our other customers and support the farmers and the state government. So yeah, it was a good learning experience, and like, going forward, what I see is, like, with the visionaries CM, what we have, like, and the right interventions of the rice policy, what he had made, would definitely is a would be a very good time for the rice mills to upgrade their technology, because earlier, like, we were losing out the competitive advantage to Karnataka and the other northern states because of the preferred variety which was not sown in Telangana. So the farmers over here were more towards custom, like, supplying the paddy to the government of custom milling of 1010, and now we see, like, government has clearly come up with a district plan, like, these are the seeds which you need to sow in. So we see a very good time for rice milling industry and a lot of technological changes. And of course, I see a lot of innovation coming in the rice mill industry as well.
Thank you very much. And I think you have said a very, very relevant point. I think the food and agricultural industry, and just a case to point, I was the jury member for judging the innovations during World Food Program that happened in Delhi about 2 years ago. And one of the things which had come up at that time, and for me it was quite unbelievable, and that's Bhaskar Reddy Garu, your industry per se, looking at a farmer who would have, let's say, 10 cows, each cow producing 1 liter of milk, right? That milk coming to the collection agent in the, first of all, the farmer is going to collect all the milk for the 10 cows in a can or whatever it is. Then it comes to the collection agent. From the collection agent, it comes to the collection center. From the collection center to the chilling plant. From the chilling plant, from many, many villages, many districts, etc., it comes to the processing plant, and that's where it gets processed. And using blockchain, you can actually track down whether the farmer's cow was inoculated or not at that time itself. And it's phenomenal how technology can be used. And also, to your point, Rajshekhar Garu, is organic in US, etc., everywhere. Just to ensure that the food that has been produced is organic, there are blockchains that have been set up where the QR codes, like the milk I was talking about, QR codes are there. And seeing the QR code on the package, you can actually find out whether it's organic or not. So yes, of course, technology is going to make change, and that's very heartening to know and see how things move ahead further. So great. I would once like to, tell all the students that now we are starting the introduction and the pandemic round is over, and we would now move to the specific questions to all our panelists. So I'm sure a lot of questions will be there in your minds also that you would like to ask our experts. Please put them in the chat box so that we can ask them once our discussions get over. So let me move back to Sarita Reddy Garu itself and talk about, if you could help us understand what are the job opportunities that are currently available for graduates in food production and processing industry, and especially you could take the reference of sugar industry itself. And since you also spoke about the other allied, the power and the processing of molasses, etc., also you could throw some light on that too. Also would like to understand is that is there a good scope for employment in tier 2, tier 3? Because a lot of our students are from government degree colleges in these districts, and we would like to take benefit from that also. And the third thing that I would like to know is, you've already spoken, but what are the developments that the students should be aware of? Sorry, a very long question for you.
Okay. Yeah, so there is a lot of opportunity for students coming out, especially in sugar industry. I would think that for any food processing or manufacturing industry, it's also the same. I'll be specific about the sugar industry because that's what I deal in and day out. And I can just go through the whole process about how everything happens in a sugar factory. And it'll be clear from it that how the students also can know where they fit in, where their expertise is. So the whole crop itself is a 11-month crop. So people who have studied agriculture or who have studied about the sciences of the crops, they will be very very good. Especially children who know about the scientific part of what the pesticides, about how to keep the crop clean, and about even about using different kind of mechanization. So we use mechanical harvesters. We have even this thing which cuts out all the stubble which grows on the cane, so we get a pure cane. Sugarcane itself is a 11-month crop, and our factory has more than 600 employees, where we send a huge team out to go meet the farmers. First and foremost, we speak to the farmers and we get the crop being put into their land, and we give them the small saplings also to put it in. So anybody who's good at technology, who's good at communication, who's good agricultural staff, we have a good 200 people who are agricultural staff. They not only see what are the new technologies, they not only see what are the new seed varieties, they even understand which seed variety works for which soil and which climate. So they go to the farmers, they speak to them, they give them, they get this put. Every month they go and check. We have a good GPS system where we see how much of the land, what area, what yield is going to come. We use drone technology to see when the rains are going to come, when and what is the yield of each area. See, because we have small holdings all over the place. We have almost about 26 mandals under our both our sugar factories. 26 mandals means we have close to about 40,000, 45,000 acres around a sugar factory where the farmers put the cane. So for each person to go physically and see all these 45,000 acres is not going to be possible. So we're using GPS, drone technology, and even attendance. We have even the all the factory people come, all the staff come to the factory. Use a lot of technology. So anybody good at computers, anybody good with technology, with AI, with the robots, with drones, because all these new things are being introduced little by little into our factory itself, and we are seeing a lot of productivity which has been increased over here. And children from 2 tier and 3 tier actually will suit well, because the sugar factories are normally not in the cities, they're more in the rural areas. So they will be quite accepting to go stay in, because children who are used to grown up in cities, they might not find it convenient to go to the rural areas and go stay there. But from children from 2 tier and 3 tier is where the sugar factories are around, and those areas are growing quite fast. Even the schools around that area are growing, and so it'll be a nice kind of an exposure for them to get internship 1 year, 2 years, and then come to other jobs if they would like to, I mean, and if they want to shift out after that. So the opportunities are immense, right? If they are good at finance, to be in the accounting department, because to run accounts, how we do it is we give an advance to either to the farmer, or we give an advance. See, there's a whole lot of things have to be put together. We give an advance even to the petrol bunk owners to give the diesel or petrol to the farmer, and because we have to transport the sugarcane from from the farm to the factory. We engage even the transporters. We make it a complete circle where from the farmer gets even the labor. Sometimes the labor is not available locally. So we organize the harvesting gangs for people to come from another state also, as well as even if it's in certain pockets, if there are harvesting gangs, we organize for them to come. We tie up with a fertilizer company, with a pesticide company, with a sapling company, where or we make our own saplings sometimes. So the tie-up has to be a lot with even solar fencing, drip irrigation. So we have to do so. Anybody who is fluent and who understands these different technologies, whether it's drip irrigation, whether it's fertilizer, whether it's pesticide, whether it's the saplings, whether it is climatic, whether it's the soil, whether it's even accounts. So all of this, there is a lot of, I mean, though we say people keep thinking by agriculture and by thinking by sugar industry or by manufacturing that you only have to know about the soil and the climate and all. No, but there's a lot of technology involved in all of this, and all of this ties together. And why I said finances, we give all advances to all of them, and as the crop comes in, the advances keep getting cut till it becomes a nil at the end of the season. So that's how the farmer gets paid, and he gets his amount by the end of the season. And he's, though, I mean, in the north, they talk about so many areas to farmers. In the south, we can really boast of that we have very good work ethics, and we see that the farmers are paid on time, though the mandate says that they have to be paid within 2 weeks of having sent their sugar cane. Sometimes it takes little longer, maybe 3 4 days longer or 1 week longer, but they are very well paid, and they are paid, and even the payment to the farmer is depending upon the MSP of the crop itself that is being fixed by CACP. And it's a very scientific approach where you have the recovery. So even if somebody is a scientist, they can work in the lab and see how much of sugar is there in the cane and when the cane should be harvested. Because when you do early harvesting of cane, then the sugar does not come. So it has to be at its peak recovery. And even seeing that once the sugar cane comes into the factory, making sure that the entire amount of the sugar is taken out of the cane. Seeing then when the molasses, the byproduct comes, that goes to the distillery. So there's a lot of process involved in from when you get the sugar cane and when the sugar, when the ethanol, and even when the electricity comes out. These are all byproducts. And even after you crush the sugar cane, you get bagasse. Bagasse is used as a fuel in our boilers. So it's a lot of integration of a lot of different technologies together. So anybody, and even, and this is also a field that sometimes if you haven't studied it and you still have the potential to learn about it and you want to, I mean, like communication with the farmers or being, going to the banks and helping them with passbooks and getting their loans. We do a lot of hand holding to all the farming community. And I think even banks and government departments are also very, very quick where it comes to farmers. So I think there's a lot of coordination, and I think all students, I mean, whoever is interested in this kind of field and they know all these different aspects can definitely apply to sugar factories where there are vacancies, or they can come in as trainees, get a small stipend. And especially since I said the pandemic doesn't affect, the only area where the pandemic may affect is because the harvesting, some is done by harvesting machines, but some is done manually by labor. So if the labor get I mean, corona, and then they are infected and they all stay together in big groups. So if that spreads, that's the only concern that we have in the season coming forward. But otherwise, even when we go to all the farmers, everybody's, nicely managing social distancing. And luckily, these are not like in IT offices where everything is closed up and it's all AC. This is all open air. So I
Right.
think actually agriculture is the best form of social distancing where, I mean, you don't really, you're not going to be spreading corona, you're not going to be spreading the disease because everything is out in the open, everybody is working out in the open. And since everything is mechanized, even inside the factory, it's just people who have to check on and off every hour or whatever. So I think considering this whole pandemic, like I mentioned, I think this is quite COVID friendly kind of situation to be in because you're out in the open in the fields with the farmers and with the different agencies tying up all these things together. If there's any other question, I'll definitely be happy to answer.
Sure.
Thank you. I
Thank
hope
you
I
very.
answered all your questions.
Yes, of course. Thank you very much. Not only answered them, also explained the entire thing in the sugar industry. Thank you very much for that. And in fact, dear students, that's where our thing is that please don't limit your options. We have been doing, and this is the 14th web series that we are doing, the webinar on career under the Career Talk series. And all the industries that we have spoken about, all the industries are looking at people like you. They are ready to work and train with you. As Sarita Garu said, internships can be done for a year, in such industries, etc. Also, so happy to see how you could make careers in these kind of industries.
There's one more thing I would like to add
Yeah,
here,
please,
sir, with your permission. See,
please,
we are
ma'am.
also very pollution compliant. So those kind of norms also, whether it's air pollution, water pollution in the ground. So we are very compliant with all of that. So people who have studied those fields also, we are very, very happy to, I mean, get more knowledge. We can learn. The young students bring in so much of knowledge and with the latest technologies. So we
Yes.
are always looking where we ourselves we can learn and we can understand better. Thank you.
Right. As you said, farmers and everything else in the open field, but here, when my colleague brings me a cup of tea, I have to wear my mask. So that's how it is. But having said that, I think all the opportunities, etc., that we have spoken about and we have discussed are huge opportunities. And what I would like to also compliment you about is that you are talking about a circular economy already. It's interesting to see that we always thought food processing to be a very nascent industry in India, but applying the circular economy norms, etc., is phenomenal. So on that note, Rajshekar Reddy garu, let me move on to you. And as we discussed earlier, also organic food is becoming more and more popular, and especially since all the IT people are back home, they want more and more, organic food, and they need to have more and more. People are becoming aware of ill effects of pesticides and other things also. So this industry is definitely booming. And what career opportunities do the youngsters of our state have? And what kind of entry level jobs can they expect, freshers especially? That's my first point. Second is, if you could highlight, of course, Sarita Reddy Garu spoke about automation and AI and ML, etc. Uh, I would also like to understand from you is what role and the importance of emerging technologies like blockchain, automation, etc. in the food processing industry. And third is, how does the career progression for our freshers look like in your industry?
Sure. Uh, Thanks. One is, I think we are a kind of vertically integrated company. So our farming is pan-India. We do in about 15 states. We do farming. Then the second part is food processing, because all these raw materials which we buy, we convert into various products. And then we are also a FMCG company, in the sense what we sell is branded consumer organic products, food products. So this we sell within India across 200 cities, entire country. And apart from that, we export the 24 Mantra brand products to about 40 plus countries. So we kind of cover the entire gamut of the thing. And then obviously for each of this, I would say functional areas, the skill, the requirements are a little different. Uh, so one is we are also completely, I think, whatever we sell is farm to fork. It's got farm to fork traceability. In fact, in the next 2 months, we'll be enabling this so that people can scan the QR code on the pack and then actually see who has grown the contents of the pack, where it has been grown, how it has been grown. So this was already there, but we have kind of digitized the entire thing now. Here we use our own proprietary tools. We still don't use blockchain because it's, I guess, little too early. So here I think we have a system wherein once we procure, everything gets tagged, and then at each level the identity of the material gets maintained. So in our case, what happens is, first is the organic certification itself takes about 3 to 4 years. Someone starts organic today, by the time it gets certified, it takes 3 to 4 years. After that only we start buying and then converting into or processing into various products. So in organic, the first skill set is obviously we need people trained in agriculture or technically sound, but who are also committed to our kind of vision, a vision of doing farming in tune with nature, sustainable farming. Uh, so I think obviously we need people to be sound, very sound in basic agriculture. And I think that's a challenge we find. We keep interviewing a lot of people who have freshly graduated, but we just find that a lot of them are not technically sound. So that's one challenge. So any entry level job, obviously what we are looking at is someone being technically sound. And second is at a mid-level, if we do any lateral recruitment, obviously we are looking for both technical skills and people skills. Um, so on the traceability front, it's part integrated to enter. We use a lot of technology in the sense all our field staff are provided smartphones with mobile apps. So every farm is geotagged, and then the entire information about the farmer and package of practices, organic cultivation practices for each of the crops are loaded. If they have, if they see any problem, they can refer immediately, give a solution. If still they find something, they can take pictures, send to a central agronomy team. They immediately advise what is to be done. Because the whole philosophy is, if you are able to give the right solution to farmer, why do you want to use fertilizer or pesticide? So I think we are using that. The next level is how do we push apps to farmers where we are able to feed a lot of timely information to them so that the manual intervention becomes little less and our people are able to cover more and more farmers. Currently, for every 250, 300 farmers, we have one staff stationed there. All this area. So what we require is one is a technical skills and second is social mobilization skills because farmers have to be convinced about organic, they have to be recruited into the program, and then we need to handhold them for 3 4 years where they don't get any additional benefit, but only when it gets certified the benefit comes. Second part is food processing. We have about four of our own units. Apart from that, we have about 30 third-party units. Most of them are dedicated to us. So basically, it's owned by someone else, but they do the entire processing for us. This is again spread across the country. So there, I think what we are looking at is one is operation people, then second is quality assurance. In case of operations, what we are looking at is either engineers or people with food engineering background or even agri engineering background will do. These are the three skill sets which we are looking at people who are able to work in these places. Then when it comes to quality assurance, we are people are looking primarily for people, food processing graduates or microbiology. So these are the two functions I think we typically evaluate. So our quality control people, one, they're obviously in the factories. Apart from that, they're also stationed in all our procurement centers across the country. Because when when the production procurement team procures, then the quality personnel evaluate and then say whether it meets the specs. If it doesn't meet the specs, what is the kind of variation? Up to some limit of variation we accept, but then there's also a price factor which comes into the play. So some deviations we accept acceptable deviation. So that's the second part. Then obviously we are also, like I said, FMCG company, and then uh, there I think the basic degree doesn't matter. It could be any graduate, but as long as they're smart, they've got that orientation to sell. That is what we are primarily looking at. And then obviously we require good communication skills because most of our sales is targeted at one-to-one interaction with consumers a lot of times. So that is the third part. And of course, we have a significant international business. So as I said, we export to about 40 countries. So there, obviously, we are looking for people sometimes with international trading or trained in that. But more importantly, what we are looking at is someone who is very customer savvy, good communication skills, has got a good work ethic. Good work ethic, of course, across the entire spectrum, that's very important. So I think this is what we are looking at. And typically, I think a lot of agriculture graduates, the whole orientation has been towards joining agri input industries, whether it's fertilizer, pesticide, or seeds. But I guess in the last one decade or so, food processing itself has become very prominent. So earlier, food processing was only dal processing or a rice processing kind of thing. But now, like Ms. Sarita Reddy talked about, there's sugar processing, which has always been there, but where I think a lot of technology is getting used now. Similarly, a lot of companies like us, which have got into contract production, or even larger food processing companies. So there are a lot of opportunities opening up. So I guess I'm sure, like you said, there are some faculty people are also there in this webinar. So what we require is some kind of reorientation where people are also made to look at the requirements of this industry, because going forward, food processing will have more opportunities to absorb people than just the inputs industry. So that is something I think reorientation needs to be done. And then, as I said, technology now is a part of almost every function. So what we require is people who are savvy, not necessarily about coding and all, but who are comfortable using technology and then adapting themselves. So I guess there are a lot of opportunities, and then worldwide, organic is $100 billion plus industry. Worldwide, the food industry itself doesn't grow much, but organic has been steadily growing at 8-9%. And today in US and the Western Europe, organic occupies almost about 7 to 8% of the overall food and grocery market share. We believe something like that is definitely possible in India, if not the entire country, but top 300, 400 cities and towns. We ourselves are present in about 200 cities and towns today. So I guess it'll not be an ambitious figure if I say we can grow to about 10 to 15 billion dollars, which is about 70,000, 80,000 crores in the next 15 years or so. So the opportunities are huge. All we require is people with the right skills, and more importantly, with the right attitude. And typically we believe, so we invest a lot in our people in terms of making sure, one is they understand the business, second, they're also committed from a culture point of view to our vision of creating sustainable livelihoods and lifestyles. So in fact, most of the people, we have about 500 people on our rolls, and then another 600 workers who work in our factories. So most of them have internally grown, and then and generally, I think we have very good stability in terms of people being there. And organic industry is definitely growing, and there will be a lot more very huge opportunities in the future. Thanks.
Great. Thank you. And I absolutely agree. And thanks for bringing out this specific point. What is essential is what earlier used to be called as soft skills, which are essential skills: communication, decision making, team working, attitude, probably design thinking. All these things would be very important. And thanks for highlighting those points also. Because I think more the industry grows, more of technology also would be required, and that's. I think today everything is, all the jobs are on the cusps. So be it agri tech or precision agriculture, smart manufacturing, everything is, along with technology. So thanks for pointing that also out. Moving to you, Bhaskar Reddy Garu, since you're also an entrepreneur and in the food processing industry, if you help students understand the opportunity and how can students prepare themselves for the future development in this industry?
I'll bring a different perspective, like as an entrepreneur, and but the team here, the students here are like the background given to me was like opportunities in the food processing industry. First point I'll bring onto the table is if these students are up for entrepreneurship. So this food processing sector is one of the huge sunrise sector. You are telling, no, it's a niche. It is not niche now. It is a sunrise sector. Now a lot of opportunities are started opening up. India is likely to become like a food supplier to the globe. After all these China episodes and the confidence being dwindled, so India has got enormous opportunity. And as we speak, almost 90,000 crores of post-harvest losses are taking place now. Like value loss is up to 40% in food products, particularly fruit and vegetables. So the moment because of the lack of practices, lack of knowledge, So any agriculture crop, you see both lean and flush will be there. We hear tomato you will get at 5 rupees, tomato you will get at 50 rupees every year. Onion you get at 6 rupees or 5 rupees, and you will get up to 60, 70 rupees. So this is the almost 500-600 percent variation will be there in each of the agriculture crop. So if you have proper technology, if you have proper attitude to process it, uh, huge opportunities is available in this sector. The second point, as we were discussing, it's only 10% of food is being processed now. Barring commodities. Commodities means rice, dals, pulses. Those are commodities. Fresh produce. You take vegetables, fruit, milk, uh, uh, this uh, poultry, meat. So all these are unorganized. 75% of the industry, food industry, is now unorganized. So that leaves a huge opportunity for entrepreneurs, particularly young entrepreneurs who are there right now in the final year of the graduation. They should keep their options open, not for only for employment, but you can also, there is an opportunity provided if you have some kind of a interest, passion, attitudes towards this food processing industry. And to do that, actually money is not an issue for you, because for entrepreneur starting a small activity and grow it bigger, so you don't need money right in front, but you need to have a in-depth understanding of the activity, subject, and basic training in the that particular field. So what I suggest is, people who want to become entrepreneurs should op- start getting training in the activity where they want to go in. Like suppose if you want to go to a food processing industry, so just approach this food processing industry. There is an opportunity for internships. There is an opportunity for apprenticeships, and most of these companies are now open to receive communication from you. You can write to the HR. I would like to work for a few months in your industry to understand, and apprentice also. So that's where you should be little proactive in grabbing these kind of opportunities. And then you have the skill development activities are there, and many trade organizations are there, like CII, FICCI, PEPSI, many organizations are there. So all of these are running entrepreneur development programs. So for the first point, if you have interest, aptitude, and passion, please do approach all these one of these institutions and start developing ideas on which field to go, where to go. So this is on entrepreneurship. On employability, food processing industry covers right from, like earlier panelists were telling, right from procurement to the sales and marketing. So there are huge opportunities in every field, barring accounts, HR, procurement and sales. These are the common to all industries. So you need to have all these 3-4 departments for which there is a specific food processing skills are not mandatory. But of late, what we are seeing last few years, the problem is employability. Many engineers are there, many graduates are there, but when we interview them or when we talk to them, we are unable to find, they are not employable. Like again, any industry or any organization, if they want to hire, uh, again they have to train for at least 6 to 12 months in the job. So that is the biggest impediment. So industry is looking for a kind of a trained people. So their responsibility lies on you to get that kind of a training, and partnering with various institutions and colleges. The skill, it is imparting skill. All engineers, particularly the refrigeration engineers, boiler, or any food processing is consists of three things: Either you have to heat it or you have to chill it, and in between you need to do change various shapes, sizes, and all that. So our kitchen is the biggest processing center. If you have to give an example, so once you take either vegetable or pulse or anything, you start cutting it, chopping it, peeling it, processing it, and similarly grinding it, and do marinate and do kind of various products, and then by heating or chilling, it will become a finished product. So in entire gamut of activities, there is a the quality is involved at every level, and there is a change of shape, size, packaging. All these things are involved. So yeah, uh, many opportunities are there. One more thing I would like to emphasize is you need to have that kind of a attitude to work in rural area. Most of the food factories are far from the urban cities, and they move. And these factories need these people to locate there on shop floor. Unlike IT or unlike other lucrative sectors. In recent times, we did one survey with one veterinary college. So last before year, out of 40 veterinary graduates, we found that 34 of them have gone for either masters in IT or US or job in other IT sectors. They have not chosen to stay back in the veterinary. Only 6 people chose the profession. So these kind of statistics are giving a little worried picture, and there is a lack of commitment to work in this kind of industry. And what else? In food processing sector, another tracing and trackability has become one of the important, like at a global level. Whenever I also involved with some fruit and vegetable processing, frozen foods.
Right.
So whenever you export, people are asking for traceability until the last mile, as Raj Shekhar was telling. So here again, lot of IT, blockchain, these technologies are involved in this traceability. So these are some of the things, and if any specific question is there, I'll be more than happy. And one thing, last year, attrition rates have come down because of the COVID. Also, people are little worried to move out of. I think we have around 2,700 people on our rolls, and this year is the lowest attrition rate. So nobody is leaving. But similarly, hiring also has slowed down a little. But yeah, opportunities are enormous.
Right. Thank you very much. Thanks for shedding light on the entrepreneurial opportunities as well as the job opportunities. On the entrepreneurial opportunity, I think what I would also like to add to whatever you said is that whoever wants to become an entrepreneur should look at an idea, that a problem that he needs to solve, and that will be probably the starting point for your entrepreneurial journey. So please start thinking of something innovative. I consider a small girl as one of my heroines from Telangana, and all she did was created a lemon sorter. What she did was she tied two sticks on one end with a rubber band, created a wedge in between both the sticks, right? Kept it on a bucket which was slightly higher and put two vessels under the various gaps. And this was the lemon sorter she had created. No power, no sieves or sorting thing. All you do is roll it down. The lemon she used to pick from the tub, put it there. The 3 rupees lemon would drop in at the place where the size of that lemon is reached. The 5 rupees would drop in from the size where the size is reached. Such innovation exists in our villages. Such ideas exist. It's only how you turn them into marketable solutions or services is what you need to understand. Thank you, Bhaskar Reddy Garu, Rajshekar Reddy Garu, I think, and Bhaskar Reddy Garu. Thank you for pointing out these things, and also on technology, as to how technology. Sarita Reddy Garu spoke about drones being used, and both of you spoke about all the various technologies, including geotag and everything. So I think our students should understand today that it's by doing IT, they can still apply their IT knowledge even in the food processing industry, more so compared to other industries also. So now let me move on to uh, Ravish, and understand about how technology and automation has impacted the food processing and packaging industry, and also what kind of opportunities does this open up for students of the technology streams, right? So we are talking about electrical, mechanical, as well as IT.
Yeah, thank you. So we are into this processing industry since past 5 decades, and we do supply across India and the globe, specifically in the US market. And we always believed in quality and ethics, and that belief made us uh, upgrade our technology time to time. And due to COVID, there was obviously a lot of disruptions in many of the industries, including food processing industry, because sudden shortage of unskilled labor was a huge challenge which everyone had to deal with. So we saw there was acceleration in use of technology and automation in food processing industry, which earlier until now was slowly growing only because of health, hygiene, and food safety reasons. So and we were very lucky. Our new packaging line was automated just about a couple of months before the breakout of COVID-19, and we were able to deliver the requirement of our customers and witnessed growth of about 30% on our top line. What we also realized was just automation would not serve the purpose. The technology has to be blended with the automation. So we also accelerated our implementations and enabled our workforce with technology by eliminating a lot of paperwork and capturing, analyzing, and processing the data directly from its source. So with automation and technology, we were able to increase our top line by 30% with 55% lesser unskilled laborers and 30% less skilled workforce. And again, the rice policy what Telangana is going to implement, and with the impact of COVID, I see a lot of automation and technology getting implemented even at the farm level, and or even at the village level to improve efficiency of supply chain, to bring the cost and the food waste down. A lot of storage facilities coming up, upgraded storage facilities coming up at the village level. Probably even silos coming up. I'm sure many food industries, food processing industries would choose the path of upgrading their technology, upgrading their automation in their processes. That would increase a huge scope for the skilled workforce to bring more efficiency. And I couldn't agree more with what Bhaskar said. The youth actually have to consider tier 2 and tier 3 towns as an option, because that's where most of the food processing industries are located. So, the youths have to get in the workshop rather than choosing to sit on the field, on the desk and do a computer job. And the opportunities what it would open, it would open a huge ample of opportunities for quality control, production plannings. How do you improve efficiency? Because earlier it was all about human management. Now it's how do you manage the data? How do you manage the machines? How do you improve your efficiency? How do you improve your planning? Earlier, a lot of things would get automated. And how do you do the data analytics? How would you implement softwares like Zoho, SAP, ERP for production planning, improving your production efficiency. And for students who are from mechanical and electrical field, there will be a huge scope because most of the automation which happens is mechanical or electrical or a combination of both. So there will be a huge demand for people who can do electronics, electrical things, who can do plant maintenance, who can be plant operators and also control panel maintenance as well. So skill jobs availability will be there due to lot of technology upgradation because we have recently seen news as well. There was a second infection to the same person, and I think COVID is going to stay for a long, and people are actually going to see how they can settle at the places where they are. So I see a lot of technology coming in, upgradations happening, and a lot of opportunities for the youths. And we always are open hiring people with diploma in mechanical engineering with little bit of computer skills. And what we do is at Gajanan Industries, we see how quality can be a DNA in each and every part of the workforce.
Right. Thanks, Ravish, and thanks for pointing that out. The points which was mentioned by, I think, practically everyone is, I think fundamentals need to be very, very strong. People should understand the industry itself, and they should feel that, yes, of course, the or the students who are there right now, what I would like to call as digital natives, because they are more on the phone compared to anything else, for them also to understand as to what I think they need to, more important than understanding about the food process industry itself, they need to focus on the basics itself, which is most important so that they can become employable. And point number two is also their attitude, their aspirations, their soft skills or essential skills, etc., also should be strong. So moving on to you, Raju Garu, you did mention earlier on that your hiring has been slightly slowed down, but you also made a point where you said that all the people who were promised, and I think these could be trainees or people who had been given offer letters, etc., were brought on board. So how has your hiring process changed? Has it become virtual in the food processing industry, or is it still face to face? What are the new things that you're looking at? How does the recruitment process itself and the hiring scenario change post-COVID? If you could throw some light on that. And second thing, which a lot of educational institutions sitting over here today, especially the principals and TPOs, would be asking a lot of all of you is how can the educational institutions work with organizations such as yours in providing industrial preparedness to the youth?
Yeah, great. Thanks, Shrikant. To me, to answer your first question, the hiring in terms of aggression has come down definitely. We used to recruit a lot of people by now because we need to get prepared for every year business plan. So to that extent, it is slowed down, but it is a temporary thing. As I said, we are very, very optimistic because it for everything there is going to be an end. So we see this COVID is going to end at some point in time, right? So that way there is nothing which is holding us in terms of our expansion plans or growth plans. So it is still there. When it comes to your point, what is the change that happened in hiring process? Yes, we are conscious about people's safety. We are very, very conscious in terms of what we do should not impact others. Therefore, all our processes, which used to be in-person, activity for us, be it manufacturing or in sales and marketing, the main route for us to induct people is through campuses. right? That's how we prefer. And so all that has gone into virtual now. Even people who boarded and onboarded with us, as you mentioned, all the onboarding happened through a virtual thing. Never happened earlier. We were skeptical. How do we manage their engagement? How do we manage, socializing them and culture orientation? All that were question marks. But to our surprise, everything went seamless, and all people, like as if they are working with us in person, they got onboarded. And in fact, since it's almost 3 months now, they have completed their functional orientation through virtual mode by now, and they are going to get into their on-the-job training slowly. So to put it this way, I mean, there is absolutely no way that we can be away and not understanding what's going on. Everything is online. If you ask me, just as a perspective, generally we clock around close to 80,000 to 1 lakh man days in a year in terms of capability building, and most of it, 80% of it, would be always through in-person process, like a classroom process. But in the last 4 months, we have clocked 4 lakh man days in terms of training our people through virtual mode. As we speak, most of our meetings happening through virtual mode. All our meetings, conferences, everything happens. In fact, we have launched 3 new products in the last 15 days. All product launches happen through virtual mode. So things have changed, and we need to quick and understanding this. The other point, like everyone mentioned, in terms of what kind of opportunities do we do have 14 manufacturing units at this point in time, and 2 greenfields are coming up as we speak. So from that standpoint, we do need good engineers, particularly mechanical and automation, instrumentation, because all our plants are highly automized and sophisticated machines. Therefore, we need those people. At the same time, we also need people who have done their chemistry, particularly to work in lab. And we also need people in who are graduates and MBA grads or simple grads to managing our supply chain activities in the plant and our distribution centers. On the other side, which is in the market, we do need a lot of sales and marketing professionals. It varies from the level that we look for, but we do recruit people even with +2 and then degree and MBA degree. That's how it goes. But like as I mentioned, we strongly believe, like we say and propagate, quality is the core for our products. At the same time, when we recruit people, the quality is the core. When I say quality, the deep understanding of the subject, whichever field they are in, that is the important, the fundamental, I would say. After that, for example, in terms of sales and marketing, we do look at social skills, which means relationship building, communication skills, and networking, things like that. And when it comes to plant level people, manufacturing level people, where we see really their flair for innovation, that is the core. How can they keep on innovating, cutting the processes and improving the processes, things like that. That's how I put it. Otherwise, everything is going fine, and we see this as a temporary phenomena, and we quickly moved into technology and virtual mode in most of our factories, depots, and in sales side as well. In fact, until recently, even now, most of our order taking process is happening through telecall centers. So this is a new thing we never experimented, but because of this COVID, we have to adapt it and scale it up. It's working very, very fine. The second part of your question is about how can we work with the institutions. I think some of the panelists they have rightly mentioned, and we also feel the same. I think this is the area of improvement, and it's a great opportunity for industry and the institution to work as closely as possible, just to bridge the gap of expectations, right? So for this to happen, what we generally do is we encourage, and we as an organization, we encourage and we also do reach out to institutions and do campus talks, campus lecturing, and similarly we do invite students to come to our factory, be it for summer intern or apprenticeship, so that they understand what we do and how the sales goes or how the production happens. Therefore, they understand and they start liking if at all they are interested. So I think this is the opportunity where industry and institutions should work. As a company, we are very, very open to have this. We are more than welcome to participate in any particular event in any institution. I mean, they're welcome to reach out to us so that we can definitely work on how do we partner in this journey. Just to say one thing before I end this response, we have September month is one of the learning and development month, wherein internally to build capability of our own people, we said this is the learning month for us. As part of our social responsibility, what we have agreed and discussed internally is every time we do this only for our internal people, let us go out and do this for external people as well. When I say external, it is all institutions and colleges with which we work. We have decided in this month, let's go to institutions and have a discussion, train people about specific skills that they need to get ready as an employable student. So any of the college who are there on this call, they are more than welcome to reach out to us, and we'll be more than happy to support and partner with all of you in whatever little possible way from our side. So that's what I can say. If there are any specific things, we are more than welcome to answer, Shrikant.
Sure. Thank you, Rajagaru. It's very good about this thing. In fact, as they say, every crisis is an opportunity, and every crisis should be used as an opportunity also. And that's what exactly we did. So, with Mr. Parthasarthi yesterday, we did discuss this, and probably very soon a task along with Coca-Cola would be, organizing these sessions in September virtually for our students. So I already am in touch with Mr. Parthasarthi about this thing, and good you mentioned it because I think we'll have more and more numbers joining in now. Thanks for that. And I think this is something which is lacking. If I look at my old childhood, right, even when we were in schools, there were 2 industries or 3 industries we were taking every year, to visit as we were small children in our schools itself. One was, of course, a Coca-Cola plant because Pepsi was non-existent at that time, and I'm talking about long ago. Second used to be bread, which is the Britannia, etc. And third used to be the Parle or a biscuit factory. And first was biscuit factory, then the bread, and then it was that. Probably that was more in terms of laying a foundation so that students understand, what an industry is all about, what are the different roles, what are the various things, which today is lacking. But it's good to see that the new education policy is talking about these things coming back into the curriculum, both at a school level as well as at college level. And TASK would be happy to work with each and every one of you to work out programs on internship, or we have mentor talks that we do every week. Happy to get some of you over there so that you can also talk about your various industries and help people understand more in depth on the processes and how exactly things are being done over there. And we could probably also use the opportunity of not a physical visit, because that would limit the number of people also, but do a virtual visit of your plant, which could actually help more and more students understand and see the whole thing. So, me or my team will reach out to each one of you and try to work out something on those lines also. A lot of students have put in questions, and questions are coming in. I would once again like to, invite our students and faculty members and principals and TPOs and invitees to put in their questions in the question box so that our panelists can answer that. Unfortunately, I just got the news, and that's where I was on the phone, that our keynote address speaker, B. Janardhan Reddy Garu, would not be able to make it, since he is still in the Honorable Finance Minister's meeting with Harish Garu. And he called to say that though he wanted, he would not be able to join this call. And this Chief Minister's meeting. He's with the Honorable CM's meeting, and he will not be able to join. And so we will start with the questions right now. And Akhil is with the Finance Minister, and he would join in, slightly later if the meeting concludes. So apologies for that, but let's start with the questions. The first question is about opportunities in ground operations, logistics, procurement, data entry, and inventory. Startup Hyderabad is asking this. Someone called Startup Hyderabad is asking this. Would one of you like to answer this, or maybe two or three people can take a shot at this one?
I think this is a perfect, the question which came, I think it perfectly fits into our industry itself, or any sugar factory, because when you're talking about logistics, you're talking about moving the cane from the farm to the factory. You're talking about the transport companies which are going to be involved in doing this. Then you're going to be talking about various other technologies also. So you mentioned, what else did you mention, sir? You said logistics and?
Logistics, procurement, data entry, and inventory.
Yeah. So data and entry and all of this, procurement also, all of this is absolutely what would be required. I would guess the same with a lot of other industries, but I will leave it to the others also to answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Rajshekhar Garu?
Yeah, I guess these are all integral to all operations in almost all companies which manufacture, sell, or distribute products. So I guess it's relevant everywhere, and then opportunities are there. But I think it all boils down to, one is attitude, and then whatever their basic skill levels, knowledge, competence, etc.
Right. Would anyone else like to add, Ravish or Raju?
Yeah. So I think these are the core operations for any industry. I think these are very much unorganized, and a lot of innovation is also possible in this. So probably even the want to be entrepreneurs can look into this sort of industries to involve technology in these core areas.
Okay. So Raju?
Yeah, I mean, I see there is huge opportunity because supply chain and logistics is continues to be the very important industry or the domain in the economy, right? That's even we have so much of a supply chain. While it is simple to you see only product, but it goes so much into it before we produce a bottle and ship it to the respective customer and therefore reach to the consumer. Any great idea in that space. I think it's more than welcome. If you look at, if I can refer Danjos and Swiggies of these people, I think it all started with very, very simple ideas. Like someone in the panel mentioned about what is that you want to solve for, and with using what kind of a technology at what cost, and how to simplify that particular piece. If all things put together, if anyone comes out with such an idea, I think it's huge. It's huge.
Great. Bhaskar Reddy Garu, would you also like to mention the question is, what about operations in ground operations, logistics, opportunities in ground operations, logistics, procurement, data entry, inventory, etc.? Unmuted, sir.
Yeah, food processing industry is a logistics is a one big time requirement. Particularly post COVID, the entire supply chain has gone into kind of a transformation. Now, food delivery is one of the big activity which is taking place. So another activity is in procurement. So all raw material needs a heavy movement at the ground. So right from sourcing, because all these food processing raw material is produced in the villages, and you have to aggregate it. I think Mr. Raj will be able to tell better. So aggregation is like some of the products already evolved, like milk and all that.
Right.
A complete system is established, but as fruit and vegetables and some of the food processing raw materials still are in nascent stages. So there is an opportunity for aggregation and bringing it to the nearest processing plant for a small value enhancement. From there, it can go to further places where sophisticated automation is required. So data entry is it is a basic across the jobs or across the activity. That is a fundamental requirement. You take any activity, including just updating the product records, right from quality, receiving the material, and even internal movement of the product in the factory also. Uh, Data is one of the key requirements. So yeah, those opportunities are enormously available in this sector.
Right. Uh, Great. I think that answers it enough, and everyone has spoken from their own perspective. But definitely, this is one area which will grow and is required amongst all. The next question that the same gentleman or lady is asking is, how can blockchain be implemented in the current situation? Probably I'll request the panelists to take a shot at that first before I chip in with my comments. Uh, yeah, Rajshekhar Garu.
I think blockchain, despite a lot of talk, is still in a preliminary stage, because for blockchain to be effective, it is not about one company implementing, but I think across the value chain, across the supply chain, with multiple players, we need to implement. So my guess is this is going to take time. It's not that there are too many opportunities immediately. That's my sense from whatever I hear and see.
Okay. Bhaskar Reddy Garu?
Yeah. Yes, on blockchain technology.
Yes, please.
No, I will not be able to comment much on that because yeah, dairy is no way connected. But
Okay.
in other food processing industry, some opportunities are there. But yeah, my knowledge in blockchain is not that strong.
Right. Mr. Raju, is blockchain being implemented in Coke?
No, not in India. At least I hear this in US, but not in India. I mean, in fact, I can't even answer and respond there. So
Okay. Ravish, anything at your end?
Yeah, as Raj said, it's too early technology to be introduced in India at a large scale because we alone can't be a part of it. The ecosystem needs to exist for that. So I think we're a little bit early for that.
Okay. Well, let me add my own perspective to it. And I think some of the places where blockchain already has been used by this industry is in you know food distribution, etc. So a lot of areas that Government of India, UNDP, etc. have used globally is blockchain for food distribution for refugees and displaced citizens, etc. Again, if you look at the problem of migrant laborers and now the Pradhan Mantri, the Honorable Prime Minister's Yojana of ration distribution, also they are trying to put it on blockchain, along with the existing food distribution system itself. Another area which is there, as I spoke about, traceability, because the need for blockchain comes only when two things. One is someone needs to certify something, and second thing is where there is a need for a transparency to be there across the system. And as Rajshekar Garu also mentioned during his thing, that with organic farming, for example, globally these systems are being used where they're color coded, etc. Blockchain, along with IoT, is being used for transportation of perishable, fruits and other commodities, where IoT-based devices are looking at the ripeness of fruits as they are being transported, and the entire thing is being controlled on blockchains. Of course, the days are not far when you'd have smart contracts set up on your fridge itself, which will realize that you have run out of milk and probably send out a response through an IoT device to Creamline Dairy saying that through your supply chain, please supply the milk. And since a smart contract would have been set up on the blockchain, the entire thing would be transparent and immediately activated. So, of course, sounds science fiction, but it should happen, not in the very near future, but in the future for sure. Let's move on to the next question. Okay, the next question. Yeah, someone would like to add something? Okay. Someone wanted to ask something to Sarita Garu, but she just sent me an SMS that she has a visitor and may not be able to join back. But Madhulika had asked Sarita, ma'am, I want to use bagasse, sugarcane pulp for making paper. Will you help youngsters like us to set up startups to keep pollution in check? So, Madhulika, what we'll do is we'll reach out separately to Sarita Garu and get you the answer, unless or until someone over here can comment on it. Okay, so we'll get you the answer. Pranay is asking, where can we find open data about agricultural chain that is happening in India? I wish Akhil was here to answer this question. Yeah, please.
No, agriculture chain, from the production to the end product, I understand.
Yes.
So, Ministry of Agriculture has got a portal. So, where various products with volumes and each state and all the mapping has been done. So, maybe he can access that, and that way he'll be able to lay some knowledge.
Great. And if you look at Wednesday's, that is August 26th, yesterday's Hindu, you will get some statistics about, on paddy, cotton, red gram, black gram, soybean, green gram, and groundnut. Some statistics about the areas planned and the sown areas and percentage of, the entire thing, etc. Because yesterday in Hindu, there is an article on Telangana state logs maximum rice in Kharif cultivation. So you should get some data over there also. And as Bhaskar Reddy Garu said, you can get a lot of data from the government of Telangana website itself. Vinay is saying, I want to set up a small food processing unit. Where can I get help?
There are many ways, Vinay. You have to like first decide like what kind of a food processing unit you are looking at. Because food processing unit, there are a lot of varieties. As I was telling, right from commodity to fruit and vegetable to milk to pulses. Uh, so to first of all, raw material availability is one of the key. So if you are, there are two parts. If I understand right, you want to set up a small food processing unit to support some other as a ancillary, or you want to set up by yourself. So maybe based on that, we'll be able to give you some kind of a suggestions. Another suggestion is Ministry of Food Processing Industry, MOFP as a site. Uh, so they have mapped out a detailed activities of Ministry of Food Processing. They are extending subsidy up to 35%. Even for small and micro units also, there is a provision. So you can just go through that. And here also in Telangana, I think Akhil is not there, but Food Processing Society is there. They also have some database on what kind of a and more importantly, in next week or 15 days, Telangana government is going to announce food processing policy, which is due from long. So they are going to specify what kind of a industry will get what kind of a subsidies, finances. Particularly for micro and tiny, there is a good encouragement is expected. And women entrepreneurs also, there could be some additional advantages are there. On all these understandings, you can take it up. If it is ancillary, please approach whichever unit you are looking at. I think directly you need to approach them.
Would anyone else like to add to that? Rachakar Garu, how about you?
I think, yeah. One is there's a local CFTRI center here, so they can go there and then check out some information and then what processes are available, etc. Then second is, I think both Agriculture University here in Telangana and also ICRISAT have incubation centers. So that is another area where you could approach them and then see if you can be part of that incubation center, because automatically a lot of support will be available. So these are the two things. Yeah.
Another point is this Millet Research Institute is there.
Right.
They are also incubating some projects and they are encouraging entrepreneurs. That is at Rajendra Nagar.
Right. Thank you. I think there's a huge potential, and if I just look at one small thing, which is olives, and I remember because as part of my previous avatar with NASCOM Foundation, when I was the CEO there, we used to be working in Maharashtra quite a lot, and Del Monte, the chain itself, used to pick a lot of olives which is grown by the farmers in that area. And used to put it to their processing plant, and which really bumped up the income of all the farmers multiple fold. So the huge potential for all these things. And in fact, as thank you, Bhaskar Reddy Garu, for bringing out about millets. There's a huge movement towards the traditional crops also, which is coming in now, ragi, millets, and all these various things. There's a huge movement towards that also. And, in fact, I have a teenager no, not a teenager, just crossed teenage recently. But brown rice is the new thing at home. So whether I like it or not, I have to have it, Ravish. So there you go. Anyway, so blockchain is my area of interest. Please learn that we can find internships in this field. Chaitu, we will try to get back to you on this, as the esteemed panel members mentioned. Right now, not much work is happening in their areas, but we'll try to find out and be in touch with your the relationship manager or your cluster manager or the task team, and we will come back to you with some answers on that also. There's a question which says, is there any platform or set way where graduates can easily approach organizations and industries for opportunities? Yes, it's task. You can come directly to us, and we have on our portal a lot of jobs being advertised from various companies, and I would urge all the esteemed panel members over here to, next time, whenever you're looking for fresh entry-level graduates, please feel free to, advertise your openings also on our portal, and we will help you get the right kind of candidates at no cost to you whatsoever. And I invite all of you to have a look at our website also, to go to the various pages, especially the jobs and internships. You could also please advertise your internships over there itself, and we would take that up. Startups Hyderabad, does industries in India maintain carbon footprints, stats and reports?
Yes, some of the large industries are maintaining carbon footprints, but not small and medium industries. And we maintain carbon footprints record and track water positiveness and all kinds of carbon related information. But not many are maintaining in India. Only large corporates where they have the mechanism to track and established profitability. If everything is available, then carbon footprints are tracked.
Right. Raju Garu, would you like to add to that?
Yeah. It is a mandatory thing for us. It's a mandatory thing for us, and in fact, we have plans. Year on year, how do we reduce our carbon footprint? So it is part and parcel of our process, and we do report it to Pollution Control Board and the governments on a regular basis. That is law. More than that, as an industry, as a company, we do have short-term, long-term plans in terms of reducing the carbon footprint.
Right. And what I would like to mention, add up over here, is that apart from carbon footprint, all the industries are now mandated to report on the SDGs. And some of the SDGs are directly related to the environment, and automatically over there, these data are getting captured. As a country itself, India is also mandated to report on these statistics. So I'm sure, and in fact, I remember a discussion that I was part of at the state level itself, where SDG reporting was being discussed, and how the various industries will contribute to the SDG reporting report was being discussed. So definitely that kind of data would be maintained, and as people said, it could be mandated also. Sir, we want to export millets, fruits and vegetables. How to get certifications and loans?
Fruits and vegetables, millets, EPEDA is there near Masab Tank in Hyderabad. So EPEDA's office is there, Agriculture Produce Export Organization. They will help you in giving the certification, and also find you. They have the entire data, like what countries need what fruits and what vegetables. So yeah, they are the whole Government of India agency, which will help you with the data and also connecting the links also. So you can approach them. EPEDA is the agency.
Great.
And with regard to loan, I think there are a couple of circulars with T Pride and T Idea, which are giving you loans, collateral-free loans to register in TSI.
Great. Yes, TI Pass is one of the TSIC. In fact, I'm actually missing Akhil more than anyone on this panel, because I think the kind of, we are fortunate that Telangana is one of the very progressive states. And I'm sure that when the food policy that you're talking about, Bhaskar, etc., would come out, it'll be really path breaking again and a milestone policy where a lot of such things would be getting discussed over there itself. If I think it is even a shade of what the IT policy is and the industry's policies is, then I think there are some very good days predicted for the food, agriculture and food processing and production industry here, at least in the state of Telangana. On that positive note, I think we are already at 5, so we'll end the session now. And we didn't realize the time went so fast. In fact, I'm not able to ask my third question also, which I'll do some other time. And the students' questions also, there are more questions which we'll reach out to you later, and we'll try to find answers from them, from the esteemed panels, and revert back to you. I think I would like to thank all my esteemed panelists, starting with Sarita Reddy Garu, who's in absentia right now, for bringing her perspective and joining us for the second time in the interest of the youth of Telangana. Like to thank you, Rajshekar Garu, for bringing out your perspective, organic, and I'm sure the way of growing, and you'd have a lot of entrepreneurs who would like to start, on hydroponics or something, and start contributing to your industry also. Thanks for bringing out the opportunities there. Thank you, Bhaskar Reddy Garu. I think very well spoken about both the angles, about the milk processing as well as the entrepreneurship. And I think most of the questions were on entrepreneurship. So you have had a very good influence on some of our youngsters. So thank you for bringing out that angle. Raju Garu, thank you for pointing out the various things that are there, the skills that are required, the stressing on how we could work with you towards the internships, and we'll reach out to our colleges, work out programs with you, and reach out to you once we are ready of how we can roll out the programs. And is Mr. Parthasarthi the right person, contact person, or please feel free to connect me to the right person, and me or my team will take it further, and we'll ensure that good number of students gain traction from and benefit from your programs. Yeah.
Sure, it's my pleasure, Shrikant. In fact, Padasadi is the right person to reach out to us.
Fantastic. Ravish, thank you. Though I know as you came in the last minute, but thank you for your participation on this panel and adding a lot of value to it. And especially, I think the perspectives that you brought in about various aspects of technology, the packaging of how your own automation happened in your plant, etc., and things like that. Thanks for bringing out that, and I'm sure that our students would benefit. And typically, we are also, I think as we keep on doing these webinars, I don't have any, apprehension in accepting a fact that I also had blinders on, where I thought that IT, so only IT, students should go for. Engineering, only production or manufacturing students should be there. But I think what has really happened during these 14 webinars that we have done is that all the industries are looking at all kinds of people, and there are opportunities in all these sectors. And I assure our students that we will keep on bringing more and more sectors to you, as well as we will do deep dives in each of the sectors so that you can get better understanding. On that note, I would like to hand it over back to you, Shiva. I think all our panelists have done an extremely good job, but if you could tell me, if you have run the survey and what are the results?
Yes, sir, definitely we've done the survey. So there are two full questions that we have answered the participants today. Did this webinar answer the questions you had about career perspectives in this industry? Yes is for 100%. 100% people said yes. And that was such a productive discussion that we had today. This is the proof. The second question I'm about to get answer, sir. At this time, I'd just like to once again thank all our panelists. Thank you very much, sir. Each one of you, thank you very much for taking time from your busy schedules and gracing this webinar today. A special thanks to FICCI, Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, for supporting us and making this webinar so successful. And as all of you mentioned that yes, for the students, I must say that patience, even passion is the one that drives in this industry. This is what one should have, and as most of you said, that there are a lot of opportunities and how technology is used in this industry in terms of what seeds are suitable in which soil and drones, the GPS systems, everything, how the technology is used in this industry. I think it was a very informative session for all the students and for the colleges out there. They all have said that this is one sector that needs an improvement, wherein we from task also will check possibilities on how we can get all these things like the industry visit, the students prospectors and the college prospectors get closer to you. On that note, thank you very much once again. And here's a poll question, the second poll question result. How relevant was the discussion to your current requirement about your career? So it is 50-50%. So 50% said it is very relevant and 50 said it is just relevant. Nobody said it's not relevant.
Okay, Shiva, on that note, I'm addressing the students who said 50% not relevant. I think I would like to address them and say that,
No, I just want to correct you there, sir. Nobody said not relevant. There were three options: very relevant, relevant, and not relevant. Nobody
oh,
said it
okay.
is not relevant.
Okay, so
It
100%
is
relevant. Okay,
yes.
sorry, apologies, I stand corrected. So 100% said very relevant. So that's very encouraging to know. And probably I would like to also say that in case you are wondering whether, this industry has created stars or not, then I would like you to have a look at Mr. Kurian's life itself, which was a major milestone in the white revolution in India. And I think while applying the Amul butter to your toast, you wouldn't realize the kind of initial struggles he went through. But I would call him as one of the forefathers of this industry to start with. And I'm sure my panelists would agree. And this industry is as good, if not better, than any other industry. Thank you very much, esteemed panel members, faculty members, students, TPOs, and college principals for being part of this webinar itself and making it successful. Thank you very
For
much.
all of you out there, our next webinar is on expectations of micro, small, and mini enterprises sector post COVID-19. That would be on Thursday, 3rd September 2020. So we'll keep you posted on this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much,
Thank you, everyone.
Shiva, again. Thank you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure having all of you with us today.